Do you guys know the story about the power blowing out that night? You do, right? I mean, what happened was we had a countdown, and we were very close to going over the limit of the pay-per-view. And the contract with the pay-per-view specifically said if we go over limit, we don't get paid. And we went off the air with around 42, 43 seconds before we were going to have to default on getting paid by the pay-per-view company. So we're off the air, and collectively, everyone in that audience takes this deep breath, because it was the audience that truly brought us on the pay-per-view. It was the, you know, I wasn't this great negotiator that forced the pay-per-view industry to accept ECW. It was you. It was a crowd like this. It was people who were fans of the product that were so of the belief that this product belonged on pay-per-view that they picketed outside of the offices of the cable companies. They wrote faxes. Anybody remember faxes? Or am I really dating myself here? They sent faxes, which is like sending tweets. Today they would be on Twitter and just, you know, you suck. And I mean, they bombarded the pay-per-view companies until the pay-per-view companies, just to shut the fans up, put us on pay-per-view. So this audience brought us to pay-per-view, and once the show was over, they just went, wow, hey, we did it, this was us. And the audience starts chanting ECW, and now they want a speech. Because back then, as opposed to now, obviously, I used to like to talk. So they wanted to hear a speech, because I used to give these rallying cries as the head of our religion. And I used to give these rah-rah speeches for the crowd to really pump them up and thank them for believing in ECW. And I went out to the ring, and literally, as I started to make my way down from the top stage, which was in the ECW arena, you just heard boom, and the whole power went out. We blew out the generator and the backup generator, and all the power went out in the arena. And I stood in the middle of the ring, and we had to just go like, even in the back row, can you hear me now? And this is what it was like. There was no microphone for me to talk to everybody. And if you notice how more intimate it can be when everybody stays quiet and your focus is on one person projecting out to you. What? I didn't hear it. I hope it was good, because if it's a heckler, I'm gonna whip your So it was just so intimate that the first feeling that I had was, and I'm not a religious man, I'm really not, you know, and I don't talk about religion, because I don't really share my religious beliefs with a lot of people, because I don't really know what my religious beliefs are. And I can't even tell you if I have a belief in God, but I will tell you that at that moment when we were all together in this arena and every fan loved each other, and we're loving each other in the middle of presenting, at the time, the most violent product in professional wrestling. Blood and guts and chair shots and tables and suplexes on people's heads, and here we all love each other. And just the dichotomy of it all, and the intimacy of it all, to me, if God wasn't inside the ECW arena on that night, I can't tell you what kind of biblical or from the heavens type of power was in that arena that night, but there was something there. and everybody who was there experienced it. And that's why none of us kind of talk about it, because none of us can understand it. Because we all walked away like, what the hell was that? We're like, I don't know. It's just, we were all together, like all at one point. Like, you know, we're all just very intimate with each other, celebrating this uber violent product. And then everybody left the building and we just went on with our lives. That was my first thought after the pay-per-view. Like, oh my God, what just happened?